Welcome to the Daily Dance with your host, Brad Richardson.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Dance. Happy Thursday. Hope you're all doing well and having a great day, having a great week. It is Thursday, March 16th, and here we are, cruising on through the year. I hope the year hasn't started out too bad for everyone. I'd lie if I didn't say it wasn't top of my mind. What's been going on in the solar arena, an area that I've been in for years, and seeing more businesses filing for bankruptcy. It's been a rough couple of years, just crazy out there. So I hope that everybody that I know is doing well and landing okay. We're going to talk about some things today that can help those of you that are exiting out of different situations, and not just your business situations, but things that are happening in your personal life as well. So let's get to it. First of all, this is the Daily Dance. The premise is that every day you do a dance. You do a little dance to the music in your own head, turn up your own music if you want, but you do a little dance before you leave for the day or you start your day. We do a little dance here on the show and do that together. And so let's go ahead and you can stand, you can sit, and just your chair dance if that suits you, but you need to move. So we're going to go ahead and do our dance. All right, dancing, ready to go? Yes, it is silly. That's the point. Can't take ourselves too seriously. It's a reminder that I have to give myself constantly. So I'm so glad you all are here. It's a privilege to have anybody that will take the time to listen to anything that any of us produce, reading articles online. We all get to share so much. For anyone to take some of your time and spend it here, I appreciate that. I value that. And I hope that we can add some value to your life by your being here. So on to today's topic. What will you take with you? What will you take with you? We all have different phases in life that we go through. We know that nothing stays the same. Everything always changes. For myself, this has been a difficult lesson to learn because, frankly, I just often haven't wanted things to change. I will work and have worked to get my life in a place or a situation that I wanted. And you get there in some facet, and then you want it to stay, don't you? You want it to remain, and you don't want to have to move on from that. And this happens in work. It happens in business. It happens in so many different phases of our life. And the problem being, it's just not the world we live in. The reality we live in is that everything changes. I imagine heaven will be heaven because not only will it be good, but you don't have to worry about it all going sideways again, right? What we have now, we get to have seasons where things are the way that we would hope for them to be. We have seasons of joy, seasons of happiness, seasons of contentment. And as much as I hope that those threads can always weave through our lives, the seasons of our lives where those things are most prominent, that's not going to stay. It's not going to stay usually to the same level that we've had. In business, I've had that a couple times. I've had a couple business situations where I thought I have finally arrived. These are my people. This is my place. I am useful here. I'm effective here. I'm growing here, only to have those places disappear for one reason or another. Bankruptcies, sales, layoffs, take your pick. There's a number of things, and unfortunately, in this day and age, it's probably safe for me to assume most of you have gone through that as well. Things just aren't that stable. We don't see people working 40 years at one place and retiring. And so these are things that we've got to get used to. And what I've had to learn in very painful fashion is to decide what I'm going to take with me out of those experiences. Because if you don't make an active decision on that, your mind and your emotions are going to take you places you don't want to go, because it hurts. It can be discouraging. There are many ways that this just leaves us in a negative headspace. And the problem with that is when your mind goes negative instead of positive, when reflecting on past events, we end up stuck in past events, and not just past events, but in past events that are the negative events, that are the negative outcomes we don't want. And we end up, in a sense, holding on to those and nursing those, and those then become our future as well. Obviously, we don't want that. How do we avoid that? Well, you have to do some homework and decide mentally, emotionally, what are you going to take with you? Like you're picking up your suitcases, and you're moving out and you're moving on from today. We'll talk mostly just about the business aspect of it, but you can apply this to your personal life too. But so you're moving on from that business situation. What do you get to take with you? In the studio here in my office, there are a number of books and different things that I've collected via my different stops at the different businesses that I've worked for. And it's kind of become a memorial stone type of situation where I look to many of these things, and they remind me of those different places, the people I worked with, the situations we worked through. And this is something where I need to do my own homework. I need to go back, I'm finding, and write things down before I forget the things that I learned, the things that I was able to accomplish and do. All very important. And so that's what I'm going to try to discuss here today is all of us learning to do that, learning how to curate the collection of memories and lessons that we take with us from our different work situations. And this is going to apply whether or not it was a good situation, bad situation. If it ended, maybe it even ended fairly well, maybe it ended badly, maybe it was your fault that situation ended, maybe it wasn't. Doesn't matter. Either way, you can go through these steps to curate the collection of things you're going to take with you onto your next phase of your journey. And I think that's extremely important. So first, to start that out, we need to look at what's on the menu. What's on the menu to actually take with us? I think it's good to take a step back and look at the whole situation that you were in, and consider the breadth and depth of the whole experience, the people that you worked with, the problems you were trying to solve, the phase that the business was in, the meetings you were in, and the initiatives that you were a part of, presentations that you gave and sat in on, the good and the bad and the ugly and all of it, who you worked for, who you worked with, if you were a manager, who was working for you, and also then consider the timeline of how long you were there, how compressed is this? Because that affects things too. I've had some situations where I've been very critical of myself, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We'll get to that. I've been critical of myself, but I've failed to understand the challenge that we were facing because we were on such an accelerated timeline, and that so much happened in so short amount of time. That changes things. That does affect you, and if it should affect the way that you assess your time at a place. How long were you there? How long all this take to transpire? Because that will affect you. So what's on the menu? Go ahead and again write things down if you can. Sit down and make a list, the best list that you can of who. Just trigger your memory. Who did you work with? The offices you were in, the projects you worked on, everything that you can remember. And you won't remember everything, but do your best. The exercise in remembering is good in and of itself. And get everything down. What's on the menu? What did you do there? And if you're going back, if this is the first time you've really done this, you may be going back over several jobs, several positions, and just look without emotion as much as you can. Just what's on the menu. What did you experience there? And remind yourself, refresh yourself, and take a look at it like you're from the outside looking in. Okay, so what's on the menu? Get your list of everything that's there. And then second, what we're going to want to do is filter the distortion field. Filter the distortion field. What do I mean by that? Well, there is a story or stories about Steve Jobs and how much he had what they would call a reality distortion field. And really, every good leader and leadership team will have this, not in quite the same way. It doesn't always have a positive connotation, this distortion field, but you were sold on something. We're always sold on something. And as you move on, you often know you're being sold on something, you're choosing to buy into it, but you were being sold on something. And to now that you're past that experience, you need to be able to step outside of that distortion field of that the culture you were in, the thing that you were all being sold, that you all bought into to give you common vision. And you need to step back from that and be able to look at it more objectively now. You need to be able to take that filter. You need to filter that. You need to be able to take that layer off, that distortion field away, and look at everything that you were doing. You were really doing, not what you were sold, not what you bought into, but what were you really doing? What was the business about? What was your job about? What were you being asked to do? And what did you do? What did you accomplish within that? Very important questions to ask. And if you can't get past that distortion field, you run the risk of taking the wrong things with you, or not taking with you what you think. Okay, because lessons that you could have learned, they're going to be skewed, aren't they? If you're viewing everything through the company jargon, through the company mission, whatever it is you were sold, you may have minimized a lot of the wrong and sometimes even toxic things that were there, and you may have elevated bad behaviors that you shouldn't have. And obviously, those are not things you want to carry forward. But sometimes to see that, you first have to remove this layer, this distortion field. So discern what it was. What was it that you were being sold that you bought into there? It's okay. I've done that. Gotten places where I realized, no, I'm going to take a shot. Here is what, this is their vision. This is their spiel, but I'm going to buy into it because I knew if I didn't fully buy into it, I wouldn't be able to give my best to seeing the company succeed, right? It doesn't mean turn your brain off completely. You do need to be aware of what's going on in case they try to, try to be led down a bad path. But barring that, we do need to be able to buy in to what the company mission is, what the sales pitch is, if you're going to succeed. But now If you're out past the company, you need to peel that away and be able to give an honest assessment of what was going on within your work life there, so that you can discern what the good things were and what the bad things truly were, and so that we can grab the good things uh, and discard the bad. It's simply that. And again, writing these things down can help, because as you write them down, oftentimes you will have a revelation of things that you just didn't see while you were there, while you were in the midst of it. Now you've got some separation. You're you're peeling away some of the layers, the ways that you chose to interpret things while you were there, that others tried to get you, how they tried to get you to interpret them. And now you're peeling those away, and now you're looking at things as they are, as best you can. And now, if you can do that, you so write all that down in as plain of English as possible, just straightforward, plain talk to yourself. You're the only person that's ever going to see this, and write those things down. Write down in your words what was the distortion field, so you can identify it. And now, once you've identified that, you can start to look all the stuff that's on the menu that you identified. Now you can start to look at that differently, because you've removed this filter that has been overlaid on that, right? And I want to stop here and just take a pause, because at the beginning of the show I didn't do something that I do want to start to do, because I do hope that we will have sponsors at some point with the show. And for now, I'm just calling out my own sponsors. The first sponsor we had was Common Sense. How about today? We have today's show is going to be sponsored by Common Decency. Common Decency in the workplace, making a comeback. Hopefully, in this day and age, we want common decency in every business, and every family, and every life, and out in our society today, being commonly decent to one another. So, today's show brought to you by Common Decency. There you go. There's your sponsorship plug. Okay, and then on to number 3: keep the baby, throw out the bathwater. You see, we've set the table. Now we're ready to go. We've looked at what's on the menu, identified the people, places, things, everything that made up the work experience that we're looking at, as many of those as we can. And we've taken the filter off of those, the way that we interpreted those things while we were there, because we had to keep a positive attitude, and we were bought into the company, and we wanted to succeed. And so we allowed ourselves to be sold a certain viewpoint of those things, so that we could keep the right attitude to keep going and be a team player. Now we've stripped that away, and not to be critical of anyone or anything specifically, but because we want to see things as clearly as we can, to see the truth about things as clearly as we can, right? Now, having done that, we're going to look and try to keep the baby and throw out the bathwater, right? We all know the saying about, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to do that. But there is a baby. There is something valuable in every experience that you're in. I'm pretty convinced. I'm sure there's a few outliers, but usually 99% of the time, there is something good you can take with you out of a circumstance or situation. And this is where it gets hard, because you have to fight to do this. Believe me, I know the tendency we want to hold on to the things, the negative things that we went through, things that offended us. We want to stay offended. We want to nurse some of those things. Maybe we're still angry about them. We haven't had a way to vent that. I get that. Find a way to vent that. If you have a friend or someone who will go down that path with you, there can be some very basic ways to help you with that. Some very odd ways. Something I didn't expect. Ended up with a heavy bag out in my garage, and I would go out after particularly stressful time. I started getting into using that, and I didn't work out that much on it every day, but just enough. And having the chance to work out that aggression actually helped me move past so many things and hurtful experiences from different situations I've been in. But somehow you need to be able to dissipate that so that you can start to identify and admit to yourself, no, this was good. This person maybe that I really didn't appreciate or like over much, but they probably did some good things, and you need to be able to identify those, right? Uh, the whole business situation, mistakes were made, but were right things done? Were there good things done that you could see that they were successful and they did work, and you can take that with you? You see, if you're blinded by the hurt and the pain and everything from the past, then you're not going to be able to identify these things. And our brains get thrown into a very binary mode. And believe me, everybody out in the world today wants to get us thrown into a binary mode. Everything online, it's like you go online and what are you outraged about today? And look, I've been that. I've had my, and still have my chances to get outraged by something. But we need to realize there are people looking for clicks online, looking for viewers, and outrage sells. And part of that is getting us in a very binary way of thinking instead of a more nuanced way of thinking. In other words, that's what leads us to the place of, well, this person I don't like overall, and maybe overall they're not a likable person, or they've done a lot of bad things, but then we become unable to recognize the good things that they've done. And so we can't take that lesson then, can we? We're unable to take that lesson forward because we're just throwing everything out because of where it came from. And I understand the tendency, I understand the emotion, but it's a maturity that we all need to cultivate, and you have to fight for it. So you're going to fail at this. Most of us, I won't say all. I always want to believe that there's people out there that are doing way better and way ahead on this. Okay, so if you are, awesome. But for most of us, you're going to have to wrestle with this. You're going to fail. You're working on a new muscle, and you're going to have to work through it to be able to find the good in some situations. But when you can, with people and situations, then you can take those with you, and you put those good lessons, regardless of where they came from, regardless of how hard they were to obtain. And then you put those in your suitcases, and you take them with you to your next job or your next opportunity. And you're a much better person for having gone through everything. And I love this because really this is how we redeem those situations in our lives. This is how we redeem those situations in our lives. It's and it's we all want the hard circumstances to be redeemed in our lives. I believe it. You do, whether you know it or not, you do, because what's the alternative for those just to stay just bad, just hurt, just whatever, and nothing good come out of it? You don't want that. I've been through too many situations where I've been short-sighted and haven't seen the good that could come out of something, and someone else has come along with a fresh viewpoint, thankfully, and helped me to see things from a different angle and help me to realize, oh, there was a lot of good to take out of that. A very personal example I can give for me is, for whatever reason, growing up in my home circumstance, it was just small town America, nothing extraordinary, nothing extraordinarily bad or good. But in my mind, for whatever reason, I was ungrateful for so long. I looked back and only saw the negative. And I've robbed myself of so much because it's only as I've gotten older that I've been able to look back and realize, oh, you know what? I had loads of opportunity there in the way I grew up and where I grew up and all that. There was opportunity all around me, and I just couldn't see it because I was caught up on the negatives, because I was caught up on some of the people around, others' opinions, and I was just young and dumb and selfish and self-centered. And so I had a hard time seeing beyond myself, right? Getting past yourself, getting over yourself. When we can't do that, it hinges this too. And I think it's an amazingly freeing thing when you can start to look at your circumstances and realize I have huge opportunities all around me. And part of the way to do that is, I believe, to go back through our circumstances and learn to identify and recognize, oh, I've always had opportunities around me, because opportunity is always around you. It is. Again, exceptions, I'm sure, vast majority, especially if you're in the US. I'm going to say that because that's what I can speak to. Just there's opportunity all around, but you do have to see it with the right lens. Look at it through the right lens, from the right perspective. Have a good perspective on things, and so this, I believe, can help with that. Is to go back through your life circumstances, go back through your work experiences, and identify these things. Look at what's on the menu, filter out the distortion field, any distortion, and learn to see and view your experiences as clearly and as unbiased a view as you can muster. And then once you've done that, kind of dig in and get into the minutia of things, and keep the baby. Find the good things, throw out the bathwater. Okay, just go ahead and toss aside whatever was truly bad and that you don't want to emulate, but look at things that you want to carry with you. Now, a little side note, this can take some humility in my experience, because when the good things are tied to someone that you really have a problem with, you make friends and you make enemies in life. You just do. And there may be someone that good lesson, that good thing is tied to, and that someone is someone that you don't want anything to do with. And the emotions rise up when you think about them, and you don't want to tie it to that. You don't want to be tied to that. And so you're trying to keep distance. But the problem is, if there was something genuinely good, a habit, a technique, even an attitude in certain circumstances that you want to be able to emulate and take forward, you've got to be able to let go of the negative. You've got to be able to let go and realize, I'm not going to let this situation or person, I'm not going to let them have them cause me to take more bad, more negative forward with me, right? I'm not going to let that continue to hurt me and to do damage to my life. Not going to do it. Therefore, I am, for the good of my family, for the good of myself, I am going to look past that negative, and I'm going to zero in on the good techniques, the things that I saw them do that were really effective. Maybe they used them to bad ends, but I'm going to take that effective thing and I'm going to use it well. I'm going to use it good. I'm going to use it going forward to benefit whoever I work for next and to benefit my career. I'm not going to let them continue to affect me negatively in that way. This is a way that you redeem that circumstance, that you redeem that situation. Very important to do. Very important to do. So what's on the menu? Filter the distortion field, keep the baby, throw out the bathwater, right? Okay. 3 easy steps. Now, homework. What did you learn? What did you learn? So those good things that you want to take with you forward after you're going through all this is essentially just identifying the baby. But find a few things. Start with a few things, a few major things, because this is something that you can repeat and go back through and get more out of. But what are a few major things that maybe you have avoided picking up, or that you've looked past because you had bad experiences, you distanced yourself from it all, and so therefore you didn't want to dig back in and find what was good, right? You just didn't even want to get that close to it. Well, now you're going back, you're doing that. So give yourself a list. Give yourself a short list, maybe 2 or 3 things, and identify what did you learn. And this should probably say, Just what did you learn that you want to take forward with you, that you want to pull forward, that you want to use and utilize? And give yourself that list, and then start formulating ways today, tomorrow, right away, to start implementing those 1 or 2 things, maybe 3, but keep it simple, right? The point of what we do here at the Daily Dance is to identify some simple things that you can start adding to your toolkit every day. And this is one. So do it. And if it's just one thing, that's fine. Start with one. Find one thing that you can implement, and then take a week to implement that. And then find another one. Take another week to implement that. And another one, and continue to implement those good things that you find, because you're not going to come up with things originally anyway, for the most part. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. And almost all work is derivative. Ask musicians, ask writers. Almost everything that you do, you're a product of your influences, and it's the same in life and business. So if you're going to be a product of your influences, this is a way you get to curate which influences are shaping you. And so that's your homework. Find your one thing. What did you learn? What did you learn from, say, your previous stop, a previous situation that you haven't picked up and you haven't started to apply because maybe you just had some negative connotations with it? Okay, this is your chance to separate those things out. Set aside the bad, pick up the good. You're not a bad person for doing that. You're not going to be associated with the bad thing. Pick up the good habit, the good effective tool, and start to apply it to good ends and for good use. Do that today. And as you finish out the week and into next week, and then do it again, and find another one and another one and another one, and on you go. And you get to determine then what you take with you. You get to determine what you take with you at that point. Now, it's not just your life circumstances or situation dictating to you who you're becoming. You're taking some control of that, and you're being proactive, and you're determining, this is the type of person I want to be. This is the way I want to do my business, and this is how I can move forward. And you get to steer that boat instead of just being pushed around by every wind and by every wave. Okay. So I hope this helps. Think about it. Think about it in the context of your own life. Adapt it to the way that works for you. Each of us is different. So find a way to adapt it that it works for you. Make it your own. And if you see some success from that, I would love to hear about it. Shoot me a line and let me know how you've been able to apply that and what success that you've seen. And I hope it just moves you further and further on in your goals and in what you're seeking to achieve. That would be a blessing to you and your family as you continue to go on and grow. So, all right, that's all I have for today. Thanks so much for joining us on the Daily Dance. Anyone watching on X and YouTube, I know we have those streams going live now, and most of you, I'd be surprised if any of you caught this while it was live, because I haven't been pre-announcing and scheduling, but I'll probably start doing that if I can get that organized. And then that way we can actually maybe have conversations during the show. As you do the live chat on Rumble would be my preference. So, we'll see how that goes. And I look forward to any input and any feedback that everybody has. So have a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks again so much for joining us. It's a privilege, and I appreciate it. And hope to talk to you again soon. Take care.